Bad Trek Reviews.
So welcome to another episode of Bad Trek Reviews. In the last episode, I talked about Star Trek The Next Generation Season 7, Episode 17. That episode was Masks. Um, that was a really bad episode. It had Picard and Data doing some really questionable things in the episode. I mean, it got to the point where it was really gay, like really, really gay. It was almost embarrassing to watch that. It was just too much to see the scene with Data and Picard. It was just really weird. But today I'm not going to do Star Trek Next Generation. Today I'm going to do um, a Star Trek Voyager episode. That's right. I'm going to do season 2, episode 25, Resolutions. In this episode, Chakotay and Janeway are having a type of romantic affair similar. Well, I'm not going to say similar, but it's there's a certain romantic feel to the episode. So you kind of get that same creepy vibe that you had with Data and Picard. It's just completely unnecessary for a Star Trek episode. So basically, the the show starts off with Chakotay and Janeway in these stasis pods, and they've been there for presumably, I think they said 17 days they had been there. Pretty much they've just been chilling in stasis. They've been on vacation without the vacation part of it, while the doctor tries to cure them of a disease that they've contracted from a bug bite. Now, the entire time they've been on the surface of this planet where they originally got the bug bite, the insect bit them on this planet, something in the atmosphere is keeping them immune to the effects of disease. However, if they return to Voyager, they'll inevitably die due to them not having a cure for the disease. So the doctor's been working around the clock trying to figure out what to do, and he's been left pretty much fucking clueless. And the only option that he could come up with was to permanently leave Captain Janeway and Chakotay on the planet's surface, and Voyager just goes its separate little ways. And yeah, they would just basically leave them, and that puts us here. That makes the story put the two characters in a predicament where there's no other humans around. It's just a man and a woman. And obviously they were setting this up this way from the very beginning to focus on Chakotay and Janeway's character, what it would be like if they were stranded together. Even even the message that she gives to the crew when she's left there at this moment in the episode just doesn't sound convincing. It sounds like, you know what, I'm going on vacation for a little while. Me and Chakotay are going to have some fun, and we'll be back. I mean, you can just listen to this for yourself. I'll play what her message. This is her actual message from the show.
This is Catherine Janeway. I've never liked saying goodbye, so I'll make this brief. But I want you all to know that serving as your captain has been the most extraordinary experience of my life. No captain could ask more than what this crew has given. Bravery, compassion, and strength of character. But I think what I'll miss most is the fun. The times we joked together, the games on the holodeck. I'll remember the laughter more than anything. Although Commander Chakotay and I won't be with you for the rest of your journey.
Please feed my cat.
We know that you'll be the same steadfast crew for Mr. Tuvok as you have been for us. We wish you a safe and a speedy journey home. Our thoughts will be with you. Janeway out.
Thank you, Captain. Commander, I am sure I speak for the entire crew when I say we will always remember your grace and courage. And I would like to add, it has been an honor serving with you. Live long and prosper.
So that's pretty much it as far as their goodbye. You know, Tuvok is now in charge of the ship. Um, and things start to get really stupid from there. This isn't the worst episode of Star Trek I've ever seen. It's not even a really bad episode, just really corny, and the episode seemed completely unnecessary. It was basically like the producers and the writers for the show got together one day, were like, hey, we really want to put Chakotay and Janeway together, but we don't know how to do that. And it'll complicate things in the future. But let's take one episode where we can just strand these motherfuckers on a deserted planet together and put them in a situation where they're going to have to fight their urges and their sexual desires. And that is really predominant in this episode. And Voyager came from a different time. It wasn't like the Next Generation. The Next Generation didn't really focus on things like that. But at the time that Voyager was on TV, people were really into drama and love stories and soap operas, if you will. They really tried to flare Voyager up with a lot more drama than previous series. But this episode is just, it's just like, seriously, what the fuck is this shit? I mean, I'd really, if I wanted to watch a soap opera, I would watch a soap opera. But anyway, so the Voyager goes on about their business and leaves Janeway and Chakotay on the planet to basically spend the rest of their lives. And Janeway tells Tuvok before she leaves, you know, you're in command of the ship. Um, don't try to find a cure for our disease, because they believe that the Vidians, which are a hostile race that try to harvest the Voyager crew throughout many episodes by killing them and taking their body parts to help their own species grow. They believe that they might have a cure for the disease, but Janeway's like, nope, I'm not going to do that. I don't want to do that. I don't want to put you guys in danger. Just go on, leave me and Chakotay here. We're going to make babies. It's going to be great. Don't come back for us. You leave a Vulcan in charge, he's going to follow your orders to the T, because they're logical, because that's what you have to do. Um, and the crew doesn't like that. And in that aspect of the story, I felt stayed true to Star Trek. It stayed true to what the original Spock character presented as the Vulcan race. Um, he's basically gets put in a command situation where he's taking control of the ship and everybody's crying because they want their mommy. That's one thing about Voyager that I always noticed. Captain Janeway has been like the mommy in every single situation. It's like, mommy's here, mommy's gonna make it alright, and everybody just runs to her like, mommy, I got a boo-boo. I mean, it's really like that. It's really like that. And she does it well, um, but in this one, it's like, oh, mommy left us. Mommy's not coming back. Mommy and Daddy are gone on vacation. It's really like the vacay episode for Chakotay and Janeway. It's not a bad story. It's just an unnecessary story, and the way it ends so abruptly really confirms the fact that they just did this just because they wanted to see how far they could go with Chakotay and Janeway. Um, so yeah, so Tuvok's in charge, and Janeway is now trying to finish conducting the research that the doctor started on Voyager and was unsuccessful in. And Chakotay even asks her when they're on the planet, "Do you really think you're going to be able? Do you really think you're going to be able to find a cure for this disease?" And she's all like, "I fucking got this, cause like I can do it." Um, and she starts she starts conducting her research there on the planet after they take shelter. But from the very beginning, Chakotay starts trying. It's so pathetic, and it's so predictable from the very beginning. He starts building houses and shit. I mean, well, they already have a house, they have a shelter, but he starts building shit. He at one point he builds her a bathtub, and he just starts trying to make this perfect little home for husband and wife. And although he doesn't directly say it in the beginning, it's so obvious that he's hitting on her and he's ready to settle down and start making babies. It's just, it's really pathetic. It's corny. It's like Commander Chakotay never really was a strong character in the show anyway, but what little bit of character that he did show showed that he was a tough guy. And in this particular situation, he's like the little high school boy chasing the girl of his dreams, his secret crush. And from the very beginning, Janeway is like rejecting him. She's like, "Nah, I'm not. You're not getting this. Mm-mm. Bitch, I'm fabulous." She's like, mm-mm. She starts rejecting him from the very beginning. And that that's how it starts. Later on in the episode, she starts kind of warming up to him, but in the beginning, she's rejecting and she's just focused on the work, trying to find the cure for the disease while he's sitting there building things. And that's not the worst story in the world, like I said, but it's really corny and not fitting for an entire episode. So back on the ship, Harry Kim is among some of many crew members who have had issues with the fact that they're just leaving Janeway and Chakotay behind. He's upset about it, and at one point he confronts B'Elanna, and she's all pissed off and snapping at everybody anyway, because you know how emotional she is. He's like, "B'Elanna, we got to do something. We got to do something. What are we going to do? We can't just leave them there." And she basically, it was actually quite a funny moment of the show. She basically just is like, "Get the hell away from me. If you don't have a plan, don't come back to me. Don't talk to me. I don't want to talk about the shit. Get over it. Move on, bitch." And I thought that was pretty funny. Um, but they're not. They try. The crew members try to convince Tuvok that, hey, we need to do something, but he's like not trying to hear that shit because he's just like, "Oh, I don't feel your emotions, and I don't see the point in feeling your emotions right now. We got to focus on getting back home. We got to do what the captain said. She said don't go back for her." And he sticks to his guns for the most part of the episode. He sticks to his guns. Um, I mean, he just there's several instances where they approach him and he just doesn't want to hear it. He's just like, "Fuck it, I don't want to hear it." Just like B'Elanna, I don't want to hear it. And meanwhile, they're down there on the surface developing their romantic story. And they keep fucking with Tuvok. They keep fucking with him. And they keep testing his authority. And at one point, Harry Kim goes into Tuvok's quarters at 1 o'clock in the morning to talk to Tuvok. And he apologizes to him for being rude to him earlier, and he presents this idea to Tuvok of how they can contact the Vidians, they can offer the Vidians something in return for them to give the cure. Presumably they have a cure. They don't even know if they have a fucking cure or not. So he wants him to take the ship into danger to go meet up with the Vidians and get the cure. And Tuvok is not having that shit. And so Harry gets offended and starts getting emotional and starts yelling at him. And well, Tuvok pretty much puts him in check. And he tells him, "If you ever question my orders again, I'll have you permanently relieved of duty. The next words that I should hear out of your mouth better be, 'Yes, sir.'" And then Harry Kim's all like, "Yes, sir," in a sarcastic, fucking, completely fake emotional reaction. I mean, he was trying to be a smart ass, but at the same time, I didn't buy it. I didn't buy it. It was predictable. It was very predictable. As soon as he said the next words that come out of your mouth need to be "Yes, sir," I was like, I know what he's going to do. He's going to pop off at the mouth at him, and he did. But then this is where the story really gets stupid. And this is actually one of the bigger problems that I had with this particular episode. So after Harry tries talking to him, gets emotional, basically him and Tuvok get into a confrontation, and everybody else has tried to talk to him. Kez goes into the captain's ready room, which is now Tuvok's room, and starts kissing his ass and starts saying, sucking up to him and saying some really out there shit. She says something on the lines of, I always respected my father, and he guided me, and up until I met you, I didn't know what it was like to have a father. I mean, she starts comparing Tuvok to her father, and she's like, "Daddy, can we please go get Captain Janeway and Captain and Commander Chakotay?" And he fucking falls for it. It's like, how in the hell do you have a known character, a known race, Vulcans? They're serious. They don't have emotional responses, but he emotionally responds to her ass kissing. And that's basically the gist of what she said. Daddy, you're like a daddy to me. Daddy, please let's go get Janeway and Chakotay. And he's like, all right, let's go do it. And he goes out there and he tells the crew, all right, I changed my mind. We're gonna go do it. And it's really it it just doesn't make sense. It's like they ran out of time for that particular episode, because at the point where he was with Harry Kim, he was like, no, fuck no, we're not doing that. You better respect my authority. We're not doing it. And in the very next scene, Kes is just like, come on, Tuvok, please, let's go do it. And he's like, oh, okay. It's just completely illogical. It goes completely against Tuvok's character and against that particular point in the plot where he was trying to say, hey, look, we're going to follow her orders to the T. We're not going to steer away from her orders. So anyway, they do it. They go meet up with the Vidians, and they actually come in contact with Talara, which is the Vidian girl that the doctor helped in a prior episode with her disease. He actually, if I remember correctly in that episode, he gave her a hollow matrix to where she could see what she would look like if she wasn't completely infected with the Vidian phage. And she fell in love with him, and she gave him a name. It was something really corny. And he doesn't use that name in any other episode other than that episode and this episode when she makes reference to him again. So she contacts them, and they're in the middle of a battle scene. They're in the middle of a battle scene with the Vidians because, of course, the Vidians are going to turn on them. And she hails the doctor on the emergency medical channel to tell him, hey, drop your shields and I'll transport you over the cure that you need for your captain and the first officer. And this was another problem that I had with the episode. Tuvok does not even question it and does not even think about the strategy. The doctor calls him over the bridge and is like, hey, my girlfriend from earlier is here on the other line, and she says she's in one of the ships and she's gonna beam us. There's like 5 fucking ships attacking Voyager at this moment. And he's like, drop the shields and she's gonna send the antidote over. And he just doesn't even question it. He's not like, hey, if I drop my shields, they're gonna have a free shot at me. He's just like, this is what we're gonna do. I'm gonna drop the shields. B'Elanna and Engineering, you're going to eject the antimatter containment. And Harry, you're going to fire a phaser at the antimatter container at the exact moment that the doc is transporting the cure. And Tom, you're going to go to full impulse as soon as that explosion takes place. And I'm like, wait a minute. Okay, we know Vulcans are smart. We know Vulcans can think on their feet. But that was a lot to come up with in the 4 seconds that it took for him to get those words out of his mouth. And also, I don't even think, looking at Tuvok's character as a whole and how he's acted in all the other episodes, I honestly think that should have been another branch in the story where he's like, no, we're not doing this. fuck it, turn around, let's run. Because when you everybody knows who watches Star Trek that when you drop your shields, that's when you can transport. You cannot transport things with the shields up. As soon as he said that, as soon as he said drop the shields and my friend's going to transport the thing over, the first thing that should have came out of Tuvok's mouth should have been, I'm not dropping the shields. We're in the middle of combat right now. There's 5 ships out there. What the hell's wrong with you? But he didn't go about it that way. He immediately had the solution. And that appeared to be a time constraint thing. I don't think they had the time to have him come up with the plan. The episode was running out of time, and I'm thinking maybe this is one of those things where they just kind of crammed as much as they possibly could, but whatever. They did it exactly the way Tuvok said. There was no trouble. It just happened exactly what he said. They got away from the Vidians. They got the cure. Now, completely illogical. Meanwhile, Chakotay's still trying to warm up to Captain Janeway down on the planet's surface. And there's a couple of really awkward moments where they're close together, and he's just constantly flirting with her, and it's so obvious. And then she keeps getting these dumb looks on her face, like, "Oh my goodness, is he flirting with me? Oh my goodness, should I pursue it? No, I've got to stay focused on my medical research." And it's just so, it's just such, it's not necessary. It's completely unnecessary, but they do it, and I think it was just. I think it was just the producers, as fans of the characters, really just wanted to see this because it was completely unnecessary. And there's a part where she's out taking a bath in the tub that Chakotay built her, and she hears something. "Chakotay, come! Somebody's out there in the woods!" And he comes running. "What's going on?" "It's a little monkey." They find this little monkey, and that's just stupid. They had a monkey in there. It was just dumb. But it all leads up to him eventually getting close enough to give her a back massage, and she enjoys it, and she gets up from the back massage all abruptly talking about, "I'm going to bed now." And this was really creepy. After that scene, she goes into her little room, and the way the rooms are in the shelter that they have, you can see through the doors, and Chakotay's just sitting there staring at her through the glass like I'm gonna go in there and I'm gonna pounce on her. And it's just creepy. I mean, it's real creepy. But she wants him to pounce on her, and it's just like, what the hell are we watching? Is this Star Trek, or is this an episode of General Hospital? I don't understand. And they get to the point where I'm not sure if they actually had sex and it didn't show it, but there is there's a missing part. There's something missing because it jumps from one scene of them being close to one another and discussing their boundaries, and Chakotay saying, "I don't want any boundaries with you. I just want to live the rest of my life with you." And then it goes to them, it cuts to a scene with them outside, and she's gardening. So I'm thinking they already had sex in that particular. I mean, it's basically left up to the viewer to decide, did they already have sex, or did they almost have sex? What happened there? I mean, regardless, it's a completely pointless story, and it's basically just Chakotay and Janeway out on vacation. So after they have their little days of romance, Voyager comes back, and Tuvok's like, "Hey, I got the cure, and everything's gonna be all better now." And so it's like, at the very end of the episode, it's like, "Back to work, Janeway, back to work." And she's back on the bridge, and she tries to be all professional and shit with Chakotay again, knowing that they just had sex, or almost had sex, or whatever it was that they did. And it was just like, okay, judging by the end of this episode, you had no intention for this story to progress. You just wanted to see what would happen if you put those two in that particular scenario. My opinion, it wasn't a good episode of Voyager. It wasn't. It was bad. It wasn't the worst episode of Voyager, and it wasn't the worst episode of Star Trek. But when people watch Star Trek, one of the things that made Star Trek great was the fact that there was always a message to be sent with to be received when watching the show. There was something else you were supposed to read into it. This particular episode is basically just a soap opera. It's just a little romance between Chakotay and Janeway, and it was not necessary, and I don't think even, well, I don't know, because the fan base at that time was probably some non-Star Trek fans, so they weren't really familiar with the popular format of Star Trek and how there's always ideology implemented in the episodes. But it was it wasn't good. It's one of my least favorite episodes. I like Chakotay, I like Janeway, I like both their characters, and maybe they even should have had included the romance thing between them, but in a different way. Not just take a chapter out of the whole series and like, hey, we're gonna dedicate this to Chakotay and Janeway. We're gonna see what happens, and then we're gonna put everything back to fucking normal at the end. It was just stupid. It was really stupid. It was a waste of time. Um, I don't think this is a highly rated episode within the series either. I don't think the fans like it either. But um, so yeah, that's all I got to say about it. I didn't care for it. Feel free to leave comments and let me know if you liked it. Maybe there were things about it that you liked, but to me, it's just a sappy soap opera story of Chakotay and Janeway fighting their sexual emotions and then eventually giving in and then everything going back to normal. That's what it was. It was like the one coupon for them to have sex. That's what it was. That's what it seemed like to me. Um, very corny episode. But until the next review, I hope you enjoyed this one. This one's a little bit shorter than the last one, and I tried to keep the vulgar language down because it seemed a bit excessive. I was really angry with the first episode. But let me know what you think. And until the next episode, see you later.